that's not Letchworth. Good morning and welcome to another Tweedy Goes Wild, or whatever my channel's called, video, reference to a recent Hayes Outdoors video. I'm going to do another section of the Icknield Way today. Just a daytime walk this time. I have to be back in London for dinner this evening with some visiting dignitaries. So I'm just going to do the next chunk of the Icknield Way, starting at roughly Letchworth. Actually, I cheated a bit, heading to Royston. I looked at the map and noticed that there was one station further on called Baldock, and that would cut off 40 minutes of basically walking through Letchworth Garden City. Baldock was actually quite nice, a bit older, I guess. Some nice historic buildings. Probably should have captured a bit of that on video, but you're not here for the medieval architecture, are you? You're here for, I don't know, guy in a tweed suit walking out in the countryside. Oh, those sort of horse step things. What are they doing there? Crossing the A505 here, and that is kind of significant to include in the video, because unfortunately this stretch you get to see very little of the genuine route of the Icknield Way, because the A505 was sort of laid over the top of that. So based on that brief glimpse, I don't think walking along the side of the A505, that dual carriageway, would be much of a fun day out, fun afternoon out. So I'm going to follow the actual Icknield Way path as laid out by somebody who presumably knows the area and therefore found an interesting diversion that would beat just walking along the A505. You may have seen in the preamble earlier, we did actually cross a tiny bit of the original route of the Icknield Way just outside of Baldock station, but it may well be more or less the only glimpse we get of the real thing today, unless we perhaps come back to it around Royston. Oh look, a car boot sale. Never know what you're going to find when you peer through a hedge. It's a nice example of a path going across, diagonally across a field. There's actually quite well delineated, marked out. The Icknield Way path following along here is parallel to a road over there, so I don't really get much of a sense of being immersed in countryside, but I suppose the weather's nice at least. I mean, too nice if anything. The on my phone it said it's 13 degrees, but it doesn't feel like that. I've had to remove a layer of tweed, or well, not a whole layer of tweed, I've still got my trousers on. Yes, with the sun shining, it actually feels quite warm. It's a very modest signpost. Well, I was wondering why I hadn't seen an Icknield Way path sign for a while, and that's because I've somehow managed to not be on it anymore. I'm looking at the OS map. It seems I overshot the turn off to remain on the Icknield Way, and what I'm actually following now is the Hertfordshire Way. So yeah, welcome to the Hertfordshire Way. It's a walk within a walk. I'm finding this amusing. I wanted to follow the actual Icknield Way. The Icknield Way path takes a diversion from that, doesn't really follow the Icknield Way, and then I somehow managed to not even quite follow the Icknield Way path. So not sure if the title of this video as a walk along the Icknield Way is in any way legitimate, but this is what we have to work with. I'm out in the countryside having a walk. This is nice, bit of a copse of oak trees. Just thought that was a nice scene. Look at that. Hi there. This is nice. Well, there we go. If I hadn't gone the wrong way and followed the Hertfordshire Way instead of the Icknield Way path, then I wouldn't have got that chance to go and sit in one of those funny ladder chair things. I assume it's there for bird watching, something like that. Okay, at this point, I'm going to try a shortcut to connect back onto the Icknield Way Path. I think it's across this field. Yeah, this'll do. Sorry if the footage here is a bit grainy. Bit windy, sorry, but I think I'm now back on the Icknield Way Path. Nice bit of open farmland view there. And look, there we go. I will try and pay a bit more attention to these signs from now on. This is a nice little, guess it's a bit like a hedge again, reminiscent of my recent Avebury trip. And there are a few of these apples coming a bit closer to the ground. Sorry, the screen's at a wonky angle. And they don't look necessarily like eating apples. Actually, looking at these ones on the ground, maybe those other guys were just a bit underripe. It's pretty intact. Give it a wash, it'll be fine. It's another one of those paths that goes diagonally across a field, and then the you know, any semblance of the path on the ground sort of dissipates partway through. If anyone has any tips for how to not end up at the other side of the field 200 meters away from where you're actually supposed to be, then do let me know, because I seem to often fall foul of this. I like how that thatched cottage is sort of peering out from behind that hedge, stalking us across the field. Pretty, very nice. Nice clouds here. I think there's a slight threat of rain, but I have tweed with me, the ultimate outdoor fabric, so I'm not worried. I don't think I've ever tried a sloe before. I've only ever had them in sloe gin. Apparently edible, just very, very sharp. So find one that looks relatively ripe and juicy as far as that goes. Let's see. Well, it's pretty sour. Very tannic as well, but not absolutely terrible. I think, you know, with a bit of processing, I'm sure you could turn that into something edible. There's got to be something else you can do with sloe other than just make sloe gin. Should we give a hallberry a go? Again, I've got a feeling that is going to be pretty tannic, but let's see. Sweeter. The stone's quite big in the stone, the pip, whatever you call it, in a hallberry, and the whatever that, the bit right at the end, that bit's a bit sort of woody, fibrous. So yeah, I can see why people will make those into jams and jellies once you've removed the sort of the hard bits and the fibrous bits. What's left behind is not completely unpleasant. Can't think what it's similar to. Tiny bit like cherry, but different. What about rose hip? Just doesn't really look very edible. I think I read somewhere that are problematic if not cooked first. Bit fibrous. I think I'll give that one a miss. Passing through the village of Sandon or Sandonbury. Quite a nice looking church over there. Looks like the Icknield Way Path actually goes through the churchyard. So we get a pretty good view of, I think it is Sandon rather than Sandonbury. Sandon Church. Look at those buttresses. That looks like a church that was expecting to be attacked. Very, very sturdy, unless they were a later addition because the spire was falling down. Nice tree-lined path here after leaving Sandon. Exit through the churchyard. I've got a feeling I'm going to end up veering off the Icknield Way Path again in the next section, because it looks like it takes a very strange indirect route to the next village, and I could just follow the Hertfordshire way again. Now we go there more like a straight line. Yeah, I know there's the signpost there, but I'm actually more interested in those apples. They are a really decent size, but also not very accessible. Footpaths that go diagonally across fields, that's what I want them to look like. I want there to be a clear line of a path you can easily follow, and you don't end up wandering halfway across the field and end up not able to get out the other side. Nice sky again here. Sorry about the wind noise, you probably can't hear me, but just wanted to appreciate the sky. Don't mind me, sugar. Sorry, done everything for you. Just passing through. Just minding my own business. I'll head out this way, shall I? It's been lovely, albeit ever so slightly menacing. Do you want to hear a joke? One of my favourite jokes from childhood. Two horses standing in a field. First horse says to the second horse, "I had a dream last night that I won at Royal Ascot." And the second horse said, "Wow, that's funny. I had a dream last night that I won the Derby at Epsom." And then a greyhound trops over and says, "Wow, guys, I just heard what you were saying. And that's funny because you know what? I had a dream that I won a greyhound race last night." Don't know the name of any famous greyhound racers. And then the first horse turns to the second horse and says, "Oh look, a talking dog." Approaching the village of Fairfields now, which I've noticed on the OS map has the magical blue tankard, indicating hopefully there's a pub. Obviously that's sometimes out of date, sadly, with pub closures being what they are. I've decided to rename it First Hill. I'd love to stop for a pint if there is a pub. Got a pretty church as well. There's the church at Fairfield. Well, thatch there, that is a beauty. Look at that. Cheers. There we go, lunch at the Fox and Duck, in a place I think I may have been calling Thurhill, but it's actually Thurfield? Thur something. This is great. The probably can't see from here, but the corner of the pub over there has a footpath sign, and the Icknield Way Path actually goes right by the side of the pub. I've left Fairfield now. That was great. The Fox and Duck, the X and Y, some kind of X and Y type pub. Brilliant, right on the path. The food was nice. Look at that, with all the slows. We're sort of idly following the path in this direction, but barbed wire is always a good visual cue that that is not the route of the footpath. It's nice over there. The view is opening up a bit. Just thought that was a lovely little scene there. The gap in the hedge with the hawthorn on the right and the sloes on the left. It's mostly agricultural, but there's a bit of hilly interest off in the distance. Giant haystacks, look at the size of that. Fairfield Heath now. nice how the view starts to emerge from this bush lined path. There's apparently a long barrow up there. Don't know if that's perhaps the tallest point on the hill you can see over there, but there's also a golf course. Of course there is a golf course. It wouldn't be a walk along the Icknield Way Path without at some point encountering a golf course. Well, Fairfield Heath is sort of more like a sort of sports and recreation ground than a kind of bit of wildland, but it's right on the edge of Royston, not to be confused with Royston Vasey. So this may be the last bit of greenery or last bit of something that resembles a path or a track today, and just a short walk through the town to look forward to, or not. Well, I've made it to Royston station, so that's the end of today's walk. I think I managed it in about an hour or so less than I was expecting. An hour or two, I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. I mean, I enjoyed that. I thought it was okay. It was sort of perhaps again not the most scintillating of scenery, but it had one or two highlights, like the funny ladder chair observation point thing, and trying the wild berries, and the pub was nice, and so yeah, that was not a bad afternoon out. Quite happy with that, and it's an easy journey home from here, so that's good. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.